Hello, it is Mia Verde here, and welcome to my vlog. You have made it to episode 11 of my burnout series. I'm so happy that you have been joining and that you chose to be here today. We are talking today about creative safety. If you have been following along on the burnout series, we've been going through the steps of me sharing my journey and the things that work for me to my professional women who have found themselves in a place where they are in a higher level position at work and really feeling burned out and stuck, and found themselves at a place where they are mentally drained and just physically and mentally burned out. So welcome again. The creative safety that we'll be talking about today has to do with the last vlog when we talked about downsizing for transition. If you've been following along, you'll know that all of these things that we have been adding up have been steps for you to create some type of space and safety for yourself to be able to reevaluate what your purpose is, what is driving you. We talked about revisiting your why. Why are you doing something? Maybe realigning your talents and gifts and skills for something that is a little more or a lot more fulfilling. We talked about the purpose and the goal being to reach your highest self and being fulfilled and happy in your day-to-day work. And so I have 7 points that I want to share with you today that further goes through, how to begin the process of overcoming burnout. So the first point I want to share with you today, y'all, I'm organized today, okay? I am so happy that you have been sharing the love. You have been giving me your feedback. Thank you so much for sharing. And this is just a blessing for me to be able to do this. Because again, I want my sisters to thrive and I want them to be fulfilled and happy. Work is work, but it's also should be work and purpose, right? And in alignment with your highest self and with who God made you to be. So the first point I want to share is let's talk about, in talking about creative safety, we want to explore your economic reality. And I think in a few of the vlogs, I've talked about a barrier to a lot of people feeling like they can walk away or take a step back to just breathe. And the burnout comes when you feel stuck. When you don't feel like you have any options to be able to say, hey, you know what, this is too much. The demand is too high and we need to either reorganize this, readjust, reassess my responsibilities, reassess our processes. And so I think your economic reality is a huge factor. It's a huge factor in all of our lives, right? It would be easy to say, well, I'm just born, super wealthy. I've just, inherited all this money. How many of us would say if only I had won the lottery, I would be out of here tomorrow, right? And so because that's not a reality for most of us don't have, didn't come from trust funds or things like that to where we had the creative safety and security to be able to take a step back and take the time to reevaluate where we are spiritually, where we are physically, where we are. We all wish we had that security to be able to take that time, right? Time is a luxury for a lot of people. And in this instance with burnout, that's exactly what you need. You need time. You need time and you need space. And so the second thing I want to talk about is how do we reconcile whatever our economic reality is. If your economic reality is, I'm good, I got hella savings, I'm sitting on stacks, like you good, then I don't really think, burnout could be a factor, but there will be some other things that come into play, right? Like, why would you be stuck if you had plenty of resources to be able to pivot and do something else whenever and however you wanted that to look? I think to the people that I'm talking about here, and let's be honest, again, I am talking to my sisters of color. We are women of color. Again, we are many times, the first person in our families to reach this level in a corporate space or in our careers. We are highly educated. There's debt from that. There's debt from being the breadwinner of our families. There's a lot of people, depending on the decisions that we make. And so with that economic reality, we would need to create some kind of way for us to not even be worried about bills and responsibilities and things like that, to be able to explore what our next step should be. To get in tune and to be in contact with our highest self will take some focus. And the focus can't be under duress. It can't be while your lights are off. It can't be, yes, we talked about downsizing. We talked about, elective pleasures and elective bills and elective expenses, right? The neighborhood, I talked about, for me, it was the neighborhood that I lived in. Shopping, things like that, vacations, taking a step back from spending and disposable income, right? Saving that. But let's be honest, most of America, and I'm not saying it's outside of America is not that way, but I just don't know the statistics. Most of America lives check to check, right? And if you are depending on those things, or maybe every other, right? Maybe you're not a few checks far from ruin, whatever that may be. You want to start to, your next step will be to start to create that for yourself. If no one's going to create that for you, and that's usually the case, right? If you don't have a spouse to lean on or a family for support, and most of us won't ask our family if in that way. We don't want that burden on our family. We're the person that they're depending on. So we have to create that. If you're a single sister, you have to create that for yourself, because you do deserve it. Everyone deserves an opportunity, especially if you are over 40. Maybe what you dreamed of at 20 isn't what you feel connected to at 40, and you have worked your way up and you feel stuck there because you can't afford to take a break. If you stop, everything stops. And I found myself in that space for a minute, even with the support that I have. And I have a lot of support. I have a lot of support and resources outside of just me. But still being an independent person and being used to a certain amount of self-reliance, right? You deserve to be able to create that space for yourself. So in saying that, I would say start saving for some, and I'm sure as a fiscally responsible person, you've been doing that. But I'm saying start saving specifically for your highest self-discovery. Or did I say that right? I just made that up. For your highest self-discovery period. That's what we're going to call it. Your highest self-discovery period, right? You want to be able to do that. To be able to say, okay, you know what, for the next 6 months, for the next year, however long that takes or however long that looks for you, save enough money. Get an extra bank account, right? Get a separate bank account and start putting that money into, I just want to travel. I want to be able to stay in, Europe for a few months, for the summer, for 3 months. I want to take in my situation, I was able to take a 3-month mental break. I was able to take a 3-month, and that's all it took. I didn't know how long it was going to take. But with that hospital incident, I was able and fortunate enough to be able, it took me 3 months to really get my thoughts together, to really reconnect with my highest self. So it took me 90 days to reconnect and have the plan. I'm not saying even execute the full plan, but I knew what I needed to do, right? And it took me 90 days to have that, to put that plan in place and reconnect with myself, reconnect with my God and my Father, and know that you have maybe strayed away, or I won't say strayed away, but you have got distracted and your focus has shifted from the bigger picture and from your purpose, and that is why you're feeling the feelings that you have. And so It took me 90 days. It may take you 6 months, because this is 90 days of me being super. I was a uber, ask anybody that knows me, I was an uber focused person on my purpose. So because I got distracted and strayed away, what was it, for, over a little bit over a year, slowly started to progress. So I would say for, over a year, I was able to snap back that fast because I was so in tune before. You may have never been in tune. I don't know where you're starting from. Everyone's journey is different. And I was a coach. I did private coaching. I did personal life coaching. I did career transition coaching. So again, I was starting probably from a higher level than most normal people, just because of my profession and the self-awareness that I had already had. But again, all of us fall. All of us fall and need to snap back, right? And come back into grips with ourselves. So it took me 90 days, even having that, that level of self-awareness. So with that being said, savings, starting maybe having another bank account where you allot a certain amount of money to go straight in there. Direct deposit, have the money go straight in there. Maybe if you have invested wisely, I wouldn't say start off investing with the idea or with the goal of just that return being solely for your self-discovery period, but because investments take time. So I don't know that. So if you've already been investing and you again are, financially savvy from an investment standpoint, you have a very healthy, a vast investment portfolio already, a very diverse portfolio, and you're already, you've been seeing dividends and returns for a while, then maybe devote that money to your self-discovery period, right? Did I just change the name? I don't remember. I like self-discovery period better anyway, if I didn't. So, or if I did change it. So yeah, maybe do that. So savings, investment funds, again, family support, a spouse. If you are married, right? If you have a partner, maybe have that talk. Have that vulnerable talk with your partner and say, this is where I am. I am burnt out. I cannot take anymore. I need this, and see what that support looks like. And it's not to say that, you do something tomorrow, but to have the conversation and for you to create a financial plan together, that will be the support, right? And so I think those are, and then even entrepreneurship. I say entrepreneurship is because a lot of us, if you are burnt out and there's entrepreneurship involved, I think it's a different story. Usually these are people that, burnout a lot comes from, there's burnout in entrepreneurship, absolutely, because you push yourself harder working for yourself than you do working for anyone else, right? And you work longer hours. I'm picking with my braids, y'all. I always pick with my hair when I'm on this camera. I gotta stop doing that. But you work harder for yourself and you work longer hours and you're more attached to the outcome when you are an entrepreneur. So I would say entrepreneurship, but the thing about that on the flip side is you control a lot of it. So if it means that you take some time off, if it means that for the first 6 months of the year, you create a sales plan or a profit, arrange whatever your profits that are coming in, maybe double that, set a sales goal to double that so you can take the following 6 months off. Something like you have more control over how those, those monies are spread out and how they're earned. You have no cap of how much you can earn. So maybe you go super hard, for 3 months to take off another 3 or something like that. So I did put entrepreneurship. So that's savings, investments, family support, right? Spouses, partner. Y'all ever made a note and you don't know what you wrote? And entrepreneurship. There was something else here. Yep, I don't know what that is. Skip that. So yeah, so those are the ones that I would say create that savings account. I saw this thing on TikTok, and I know if you're a visual person and you like to feel things, I know a savings account, electric, have a direct deposit, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was the cutest thing, and it's the same thing as a savings account. But I think for people that need to see it and you feel safe and secure doing this, they have these little envelopes, right? And I don't know the name of them, but it was this girl that was selling them. There was a few of them that I see now. And it's like a almost like a planner, and it has different envelopes in it, and they just, if you're like a petty cash type person where you have to feel the money, or you want to see it, and it's a motivation thing for you to keep going in that way. She had envelopes where she would just stick $100 every check, $100 every week, however that looked for her. And the goal was whatever amount you wrote down, and you could just keep count. Some people need to be able to count how close they are, feel that money in their hand. Now, working with cash, some people prefer it, some people don't. It might be a little dangerous, but depends on, your level of security and what, your house and who live there and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's cute if y'all have seen those savings envelopes. They're very cute. And I get it from I have to write things down from a motivational standpoint to be able to keep going. So I get that. So even that, maybe you say, my sabbatical, saving for your sabbatical, right? And make an envelope, and you stuff whatever extra money, if you want to, I don't know if you're all cash, if you are an entrepreneur and you do cash kind of thing, or if you are with my corporate girly and you say, I'm gonna go do some hair on the side, or I'm gonna go do something, I'm gonna walk dogs, right? I'm gonna turn my hot girl walks in the evening. If you're burnt out, you probably don't have time to do that. But I'm just thinking of different ways where you could just go, I'm a bartend on the weekends, right? That's more no sleep days for you. But my point is, however you can save, and whatever that looks like for you, save for your self-discovery period, or to make it, again, just plainly, I guess, your sabbatical. But I want to give purpose to it. It's not just a sabbatical. Sabbaticals don't necessarily have to have meaning for them. And I think a self-discovery period has a absolute, specific title to it with the meaning right there, right? For you to hold on to and keep focus on. So that's what I would recommend, right? And again, this is a burnout series about my journey. And so again, I had the help of a partner. I had the support of my own savings and a partner who was very supportive. And so I made it work, and I was very, very happy that I was able to do that. So there's that. So that's my second point. The third point I want to get into is remembering that the goal is to create the space to have a base level of security for you to nurture your purpose, dreams, and highest self. So again, I'm going to repeat that. The goal is for you're doing this and you're saving all this, and this may seem like extra work. But again, sis, how long can you go on like that? How long? The point is that you're trying to get yourself out of this corner that you seem to be backed into, that you cannot continue, and so you have to create an escape. You have to create an exit plan. And a lot of it for us starts with finances. So yes, it may be extra work on top of already being burnt out, and we just want to, like I talked about in the earlier vlogs, we just want to go to sleep. We just want to steal every little chance we get. But this is your out. This is your exit strategy. So you have to find the inspiration and the motivation to muster up the strength to do this, because it's your only answer at this point, right? It's not, because the other answer is continue to do it. And again, don't take for granted that you physically won't be stopped. Don't take for granted that you are physically harming yourself. The more stressed out, the more you continue to operate in this manner. This is 911. So whatever you need to do to secure funds, even if you say, you know what, I'm going to take a loan, I'm going to take a mortgage out, whatever that is. You know how people open businesses and do these things, and again, there's a fear of the unknown, and I think that's one of my points that we talk about, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. There is a fear of the unknown. But I won't dare say that I would be against someone taking a loan or something like that, or because you would do it. It's called investing in yourself. And if you would do it to open a business, if you would do it to go to school and get a degree that you're not even using, you have proven that you have the ability to be successful. If all else, we talk about, in a lot of my coaching sessions with people, I talk about facing the worst case scenario, right? facing the fear of the worst case scenario. And let's start with that. So if you don't want to say, oh, I don't want to owe people, I don't want to take out a loan, and then what? I'm quitting my job, and not even quitting your job. I'm taking a step back, whatever that looks like, and we'll talk about it, whether it be quitting or going down to part-time or taking another position, right? That doesn't pay as much, that's not as high as a C-suite or whatever that looks like. But my point is the loan option, right? I don't want to take out a loan because that seems irresponsible, and because I'm reducing my income. Well, people take out credit cards to pay off credit cards, to take out a bigger credit card, to do that so they can free up some capital to make moves, right? People take loans, again, to go to universities to try to secure their future. Do they know that they're going to get a job for sure after they graduate? No, many people don't. That's what student loan debt comes from, right? Worst case scenario is you do this to give yourself some cushion for the next 6 months to a year to breathe and think. And you connect with your highest self and you take the steps to become that person. And then the worst case scenario is, oh, I didn't do it. I didn't connect. I ended up drinking the year away. I ended up going into further debt. I ended up wasting my time, not focusing, not praying, not talking to God, not asking for a strategy. I ended up just sleeping the whole 6 months away. Well, guess what? You can get another crappy job that you don't love, that doesn't fulfill you, and pay it back. That's worst case scenario. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, which is the one I go with, is you find your inner self. You connect with your purpose. You start a business. You find another position. You realign with the position you have, but you're doing it from a position of authority and being able to negotiate that because you can take it or leave it. And that is a position of power. You have now assessed what you need because you've had the breathing room to do so. That's the difference, right? So even if you stay where you are, maybe you love it, it's just the demand is too high right now. You say, I'm gonna go part-time or 3/4 time, or I do not take me. You are demanding what you need from a position of power. And that's the difference. So that is my recommendation. That is what I did. From a taking the time off to mentally reevaluate everything, to reposition yourself from a place of strength, from a place of creativity, from a place of reconnecting with God and reconnecting with yourself. That is what I did. So that was my final step I had an action plan, but when it came to like overcoming burnout, that was my final step in the framework, I guess I would say. And then I executed that plan. And we'll talk about that too. And so that was my point 3. Point 4, I talked about that already. Remember, my next point, the goal is a life of fulfillment and balance. You already have proven you are a hard worker. You are a dedicated person. You have skills and talents that have proven you successful. You've already proven that. So I wouldn't even, I don't see, it's hard. And I'm saying I don't see from this side of it. And I get it. I had the same fears. I had all of that, right? So I get that. I get that. It's hard to pivot at an older age, right? You have more at stake and you have more to lose. But it comes down to, again, reconnecting with God, because it goes into what are your idols? Your ego can't be your idol, and things can't be your idol. Yes, you take care of whoever you take care of, your family or however that looks for you. But where's your faith, right? We talk about faith, right? And so that is what you are taking the time to restore your faith and to reconnect and with your purpose, with God and his purpose for you. And that is the goal. That is absolutely the goal. So creating the freedom to control your time and energy is the whole purpose of this. You have to be able to think and reconnect, right? The freedom to explore what your next chapter of life looks like is what we are after. Is what this is all about. What is your next chapter as your highest self? You are not operating in your highest self. Go back and watch all 10 episodes. Go back and watch all 10 episodes of my burnout series. If you are operating at your highest self, you don't click off because I want you here, sis, but just add as a, you know, as someone who has overcome or who is doing well and successful and thriving. This, you know, you don't need the help, right? If you're already thriving, if you love where you are, the fulfillment, the balance is there, then you're good. But clearly it's not. I'm talking to the people that it's not, that the balance is not there, and you are killing yourself. You are killing yourself, and I'm trying to help you from doing that. I had to stop myself. And I don't want you to take a trip to the hospital like I had to do. I don't. I really don't. So yes, we want you to have the freedom to, and when I say it's so nurtured, like just being able on a random Tuesday to take a walk at 11 o'clock. No meetings, just go and think and talk to God in the park when nobody's there, along the beach when very few people are there. You don't have anything to rush to. The mental freedom, the mental relaxation, the creativity starts to flow again. The ideas start to come back. It's almost like being a child again. It's wonderful. Or like a teenager on summer vacation who had all the hopes and dreams in their, you know, in their mind of what their life was going to look like because the world was your oyster. It still is, sis. It still is your oyster. It still is. You just got to reconnect. So that leads me to, you know, I guess my 6th point, sabbatical. I think we've gotten away, I think in maybe more collegiate or educational organizations and workplaces, the sabbatical is still something that is very relevant. But I think in regular corporate, whether it be manufacturing, whether it be healthcare, oh my gosh, whether it be you know, tech, whatever industry you are in, I don't think a sabbatical is a common term used, and we need it. I took a 90-day sabbatical, and I think that may be what we talk about, the details, because what happened is after when you're able to do that, everything I just mentioned falls into place, and it goes into like maybe. And I don't know the stats on this, but I'm wondering, are teachers more fulfilled? I know they have a really hard job, but don't they get summers off? Do they still do that? I don't know any teachers. But I think about that, like you need some time. But again, I only needed 90 days. Maybe somebody needs a year. Maybe somebody needs 2 years. Whatever you feel comfortable doing. I mean, hey, maybe you burn through your 6-month savings and then you go get a job as a greeter at Walmart. And I'm joking, but I'm not. Like, the point is you're working and maybe that just pays for you to eat. But the point is you're paying to eat and you still have time to think and discover yourself. I feel like I've seen a movie like that or something. Like they have those movies all the time where there's some big high-powered executive who takes a step back. They go to Nantucket. I'm really going over a movie that I really saw. I just can't remember the name of it. She went to Nantucket. You know, she got a divorce. No, I think she was married. I think she just was like, hey, husband, I need a break. And went to Nantucket and thugged it out in like some little cabin or something. It was beautiful. I'm going to find the name of that movie, y'all. It was beautiful. But I'm telling you, there's a movie, Pursuit of Happiness or something like that. Not the Will Smith one, but there's another one. Destination Happiness? Yeah, I'm going to get the name of these and I'm going to list them down at the bottom because these are great movies and they are very inspirational. They really are. Not the Will Smith one. That was inspirational at the end, but he went through a lot. I think with this plan, you kind of play, you know, you can have a strategy and anchor yourself to create a baseline of security, and you won't have to be sleeping in bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, so there's that. But yeah, sabbatical. Really bring it up. You know, if you are at C-suite level, you have the authority to actually propose some things. Maybe institute a sabbatical program, right? I think it is mental health is so needed. It's so important. It is so important, especially at the highest levels. It is so important. And so I think lastly, the fear of the unknown. It's going to be scary. It's going to be very scary, taking this on, because you thought you were there. I know how it feels to say, I've made it. I've worked so hard. You're enjoying. You're actually, I won't say enjoying, but you're actually seeing a lot of it. And maybe there's been glimpses, before you got burned out. Family vacations, watching your children graduate from high school or whatever. Being able to send, your kids to private school. Whatever fulfills, whatever accomplishments you can say, I worked hard and I got, I was able to provide that, right? The house you live in, all of that, you're able to provide. So I know the fear of the unknown of, I'm not even saying letting it go, stepping away for a minute. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself for the mental clarity and the freedom, the creative freedom to find out what your highest self and your next chapter looks like. So I'm going to end it here. I think that might be probably the most important. This may be the most important vlog. I think the last episode 10 and episode 11 today might be the most important, but you can't get here until, these might be the most important out of the whole series, but you can't get here until you do all the other things. You could skip physical, but for me, I was going through the order that I had to tackle that first because my health was declining and I needed to do something that's what got my attention, and a lot of times that's what gets our attention, and so that was first for me. And then I wanted to be better. I wanted to be better on the inside, right? Mentally, spiritually, I wanted to reconnect. So that is the order that it happened for me. I will absolutely be coming back with the episode 12, and we will talk more about what that actual creative safety, I was able to attain that, and what I did with that, what the action plan that I created as a result of having that, what it looked like. But again, the savings, making sure you have that, because maybe your savings, not only are you saving for the creative safety space, maybe it extends for you to execute. You're going to need time to execute whatever your plan looks like. So if your plan looks like totally stepping away to execute that plan, my plan didn't look like totally stepping away. My plan actually incorporated my corporate role, but it also set up boundaries so tough that I was on a verge. I would say, well, fire me, because I'm not breaking this boundary. I don't care. So you have to kind of choose you have to be careful with what your plan looks like and know yourself, right? So to be able to follow it. And maybe that means your savings or whatever your resources look like, it has to be enough to not only create that safety net for you to mentally think about it, but to also execute it and encompass them both. So that might be 2 years. Who knows? Again, it's just as long as it's on your radar, you can start working towards it, and it's better than that alone. When you're working towards something, it gives you a sense of purpose. It gives you a sense of fulfillment, versus you may have not reached the end goal, but you're working on it. And that gives you something to look forward to. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I love talking with you, sis. Please join our community of professional women who want to reach our highest self and want to thrive and live a life of fulfillment and freedom, y'all. I got the traveling bug. Watch my what vlog is that? I think that is my last week's vlog, where it was my get ready with me, where I talked about, it was my birthday vlog basically, where I talked about where I just really have, in my 46 years, my 46th year, I really have the traveling bug tough. And I mean, not travel like go to Miami or something, I'm talking about eat, pray, love is in my, I just want to go and be and explore and do things like that. And just, again, I'm already in tune with who my highest self is, and you can always add to it. You can always add to it as you discover new facets and new aspects of yourself. So yeah, that France did a number on me, y'all. I went to Paris, and that whole UK visit did a whole number on me, and I'm like ready to see more. I'm like thirsty for more. Okay, so have a great day. I hope you are so productive, and thank you for joining. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All right, see y'all later. Bye.